Steve and Dianne claim that one of the people that their father killed at Fort Devens in the early 1960s was an Army champion swimmer.
Searching for the lake that my father lowered a dismembered medalist swimmer into. This is a topographical map. I've pinned out everything that could have something to do with it. At this point, I know which ones are going to be too small, which ones are too large. Just like anything else, if you keep hitting it and hitting it, eventually you'll get there.
This is the Fort Devens swim hall. They claim it is the last place that the swimmer was seen alive. The swim hall has now turned to rubble.
He had this guy cut up. We got in the boat and we rowed out to the center of the lake, rocks in the boat too. Just casually wiring the guy's parts to the rocks and lowering them into the water. And as they disappear into the water, he's telling me, this is your memory. As these parts disappear into the murky water, your memory will disappear. And the only thing you will ever remember is you must never turn against me. It made the paper, and I've been reading microfilms from those days.
Did you find it?
I haven't found him yet. I started reading the Boston Herald in '59, and I'm into '61.
Since Steve and Dianne recovered memories of the murders, they've been recording the memories onto a chart for the police. It details the dates, places, motives for a long and growing list of murders.
And through the years, which now has been 97 to 2000, it has grown dramatically from 6 cases to 20 cases to 40 cases, now to 70 cases that his father may have been involved in. We also have determined that some of what he's told us is not true, or he did not have the facts correct.
Some of Steve's recent memories were triggered by news stories of murder that he has connected to his father. A recent press story in New Jersey covered a 1966 case involving the murder of a boy called Paul Bender.
I took the article and I went over to Stevens, and he also had the article, and he just kept saying, this is the boy. He did this. This is the boy. And I was like, Steven, you can't just go and say something. We weren't there. I know we weren't there when the boy was murdered. And he kept saying, this is the boy. Over the next couple of days, these memories came back to me. These memories have been in my mind, but I just didn't connect them with anything. But it's always been this whole memory of this day. And I started writing it down, everything that I could possibly think of, in case there was just something, anything that would connect it. And then we drove up here.
When they got to Union Beach that day, they remembered that their father had taken them there and told them how he'd killed Paul Bender.
Not one cop has spoken to us about the death of, murder of Paul Bender to this day.
For Steve and Dianne, the Paul Bender case is their chance to demonstrate something they know to be true. For the police, it's an opportunity to test memories against known facts.
A horrific crime, a horrific death of this young boy. And I think that's why we are still actively pursuing this case. If Mr. Griggs has information that helps us solve it, then that would be a great thing. If he's providing us information simply out of some type of personal motive, then that would be something equally horrible. So I think we'll have to find that out. We know where the body was found. It's been reported where the body is found. We know how the boy was killed. We know that the boy was subject to a degree of torture. Some of the information that we have in this particular file has not been released to the press, and that's the important aspect. That's the keys that would determine, from our perspective, whether or not the information being supplied by Mr. Griggs is relevant and accurate, or simply being regurgitated from news accounts of this horrible incident.
Did he say how he suffered, what he did to him? Did your father actually show you what he done to Paul? He came up out of the basement with a handkerchief and showed something to my mother, and she gasped and said, "Get that out of here, get that out of the house." And he's laughing, he's real happy, and he says, "I'm trying to figure out how to preserve it. Look, it's shrunk up like a button. It's not like a piece of leather, it looks like a penis that has shrunk up so that it's just about flat, like a button." This is one especially sick individual. I do have memories of being very young myself, and the guy comes up to me and he's got a knife and he grabs my penis and he wants to cut. He's saying that I'm going to cut your penis off.
He indicated that his father had taken a trophy from the body of Paul Bender. Well, that's absolutely not true. That is absolutely not true. I mean, we have pictures still from that homicide scene, which clearly indicate that the information initially provided was false. We will await the laboratory analysis of the clothing and the materials we've submitted in the Paul Bender case, in that specific case, in the hopes that we have some hard evidence that will either definitely exclude or in the possibility to include Mr. Griggs Sr. in the homicide.
After the Bender case, I'm definitely questioning Steve's credibility, but yet still puzzled that he and Dianne seem so convinced that they actually witnessed these events. I went to see Skip Simpson, an expert in recovered memory and a lawyer who has acted for both the prosecution and the defense in such cases.
I've had cases very similar to this case where a family allegedly, when I say a family, I'm actually talking about two sisters who allegedly saw their father take a baseball bat, kill a man in front of the whole family, and of two other brothers and the mother, and then put the dead man into a bathtub and cut him up into many pieces, put water in there, and now force the children's hand into the water. It turned out that it could not be substantiated, okay? There was no evidence of anyone dying. Everyone looked. The police were notified. The police investigated and couldn't find that any of this occurred. Not only couldn't find that that occurred, but a lot of other things that the two sisters said also, they couldn't find that it occurred. The sisters believed it desperately. One was so upset by it all that she hung herself. Those same sort of themes were in Steve and Dianne's case.
We were also concerned in regards to whether or not some of the information provided to us was delusion or fabrication to the point of a concern for either his safety or the safety of others. And we still have that concern that he truly believes what he is telling us is the truth.
First you find somebody that you're going to kill, somebody that won't be missed, somebody that nobody cares about. Then you dig your hole. Then you, as you stalk that person, make friends with them, try to get them off to the side, you go back and check on your hole where you've taken the dirt and thrown it away because the body's going to fill it up. Then when you get the person, you kill them, you bring them there, you put them in a hole, you fill it up, and you're out of there in 5 minutes. You go establish an alibi. I've seen him out in the blazing sun with a white shirt and an army shovel bent at a 90-degree angle with this maniacal energy just tearing away at the ground. You never seen anybody work like that.
He may be more like his father than he thinks, and that may be very scary to him. And that may be one of the reasons why he's so focused on getting back at his father.
If Steve is scared of being like his father, others are scared of Steve.
A couple of times when we were out, just the three of us, looking at a wooded area away from a public road or away from houses where we were alone. Yeah, I was uneasy, and I always made sure that they were in front of me and not behind me. Call it the creeps, call it whatever you want. After a while, you just become uneasy when things haven't panned out the way you'd hoped that you would find something.
But Steve's wife, Anne-Marie, who he married 5 years ago, shares none of these concerns.
I said to him, you know, we're walking one day, and I said, Stephen, you know, when I first went out with you, you know, you are a really good person. I saw that. You know, for me, he's not highfalutin. He's just who he is. And this is a stumbling block. We got married in May of 96, and this started coming out in October of 96. Those first few months were really stressful. Now it's, you know, it's a way of life. This is his work. I'll go to work during the day, and this is what he works on. And then we do things together, you know, the weekends. You know, it's not a 24-hour thing.
I found a secret compartment in the backyard.
In a bizarre twist, Steve's obsession with his father has led him to start digging in his own backyard.
Just goes to show you never know what's in your backyard, especially if you got some dirtbag who's looking to hide things. Like my old man.
We live in a cemetery. A cold and barren place. And science runs with us. Making us gods.
Has it changed your relationship with?
Well, I mean, I can think of so many other things to be doing besides this. You know, it gets weary after a while. You know, he carries a ball, and in the beginning, you know, it's a concrete ball, and you carry it, and you keep chipping away at it. And I hope that one day, not I hope, I know that it's gonna, the concrete ball turn into a balloon, you know, and just kind of float there.
Yeah, this is it right here.
Steve and Dianne have spent most of the summer searching for the lake where they remember their father dumping the body parts of the murdered Army swimmer. Now they believe they've found the right lake. Steve decides to test the truth of his memory by marking and measuring the spot.
Of course, as a kid, the lake looked a lot bigger than it does now. So I was thinking that maybe it was 50 to 100 feet deep or something. Not exactly 100 feet deep.
And no matter what he found, it seemed to fit his story.
So at this point, it's shallow enough where he could have come back with the snorkeling fins and got some of them, but I don't think he would have gotten all of them. That's up to the police to decide. After 40 years.
As an individual comes and speaks to you and provides you information, you listen to what they say and you say, is this crazy? With Mr. Griggs, he would present himself in a sane and rational manner. Whether or not there is underlying psychological conditions that are masked, well, that would be for a psychiatrist or a psychologist